Hello brothers and sisters of the Imperium, and welcome to another Let's Kit Bash video with Chapter Master Morgan, and today I'm going to show you how to turn these into this. So I hear you ask, what is this exactly? Well, this is my venerable Redemptor Dreadnought. This is Chapter Master Morgan Entombed. I'm actually going to make two variations of Chapter Master Morgan, post-entombment, and a real one. So far, I've only got the dead one. The real Chapter Master Morgan, the alive one in my lore, has still not been created. So that's what I wanted to do. The objective of this is to make a venerable Redemptor Dreadnought. What is a venerable Redemptor Dreadnought? Well, when I mentioned earlier, when you just dropped in, this little cutie is an original Games Workshop Venerable Dreadnought. And I love this model. I had to have it in my collection. But he does look pretty ridiculous next to Daddy, as you can see here. He's almost twice the height on the tabletop. So I wanted to show my love for Venerable Dreadnoughts and make a Redemptor pattern version of a Venerable Dreadnought. And today I'm going to whiz through and tell you exactly how I did that. So to start off with, you will need a Redemptor Dreadnought. Now, I was very fortunate enough to enter this hobby in 8th edition, or should I say the tail end of 8th edition. And I got two easy to build Redemptor Dreadnoughts, but this should work perfectly fine with the full multi-part Redemptor Dreadnought kit. The only main difference I'm aware of between the two variations is this one has a nice little encasing that just pops off like that, but the non-easy to build, which I've been reliably informed, I don't own one myself, is not that easy to build at all. In fact, you've got easy to build, which is this one, which comes in like 4 pieces: arms, legs, chassis, torso, and then the little casing that goes on the front like that. So this is what you'll need, a Redemptor Dread, and you'll also need, and I'll go through individually now, you will need some original Venerable Dreadnought kit parts as well. So let's have a look at this guy, shall we? There's a number of other things as well. And what I'll do is I'll just show you to the waist so you can get a good idea of what he looks like. And I'll stop this rotating so you can actually see him head on. The other reason I built him was that I wanted to have a kind of a traditional kind of Contemptor style variant, but not lose the height. My friend Charlie was round before lockdown with his Contemptor, the Forge World one, I think, and it was tiny. Even next to this guy, he was absolutely tiny. And so I wanted something I could proxy as a Contemptor Dreadnought. I only really do friendly play, so don't worry about me getting kicked out of tournaments. So what I've done is I've magnetized everything as well. This is the first model that I magnetized, that I started playing around with magnets. So you can proper transformer him up. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember Transformers, but he completely comes apart. So what I'll do is I'll start by going through each of the areas that I built into him, and I'll start off with the arms and the different variations that you can use on those. So starting with the arms, I'll start on the outside and work my way inside to the good stuff in the middle in the venerable area. In here, as you can see, you've got him entombed in there. Gets more interesting as we go in. So the arms, this is just the standard Redemptor Dreadnought arm, as you saw on the other model, but I've kit bashed it with a secondary cannon here, and this actually came from my repulsor tank, which is subsequently after this guy, I then also magnetized as well. You can see that just pops off like that. So why did I add the cannon on this side as well? Well, the thing is, normally you would add it here where the heavy flamer usually goes. But an autocannon on a Power Fist never really made any sense to me. So I wanted it to look properly beefy here. And it's actually the autocannon, as I just said, off the repulsor. So as you can see here, the las talon or las cannon, whatever you want to call it, is magnetized and can just be swapped back out. So it's not glued on indefinitely if you want to change up your actual your loadout on your Redemptor Dread. The other arm here, as you can see, I have kit bashed with a dual las cannon, again going back to the Contemptor variant, and this is actually just 2 Imperial Guard las cannons that I've stuck together and inverted. What I also had to do, because it's underslung like that, obviously with this variant of Contemptor, when you're proxying it as a Contemptor, you can't use the Power Fist. So that's why, instead of removing the entire arm, I thought it would be much cooler to have a dual twin link las cannon underslung under there. And yeah, so like I say, 2 Imperial Guard kind of heavy weapons squad las cannons, if you see them around there. The only thing you need to do is chop off the ends and invert them, because otherwise, if you stick them on, you can see this, that's the way it normally should be. And then you would have to chop them off so it looks normal underslung like that. So let's put that on there. And let's put his other arm back on, shall we? So that's the first part. Now, in terms of magnetization, I use, you're going to need for something this size, the standard magnets that I use, and really nice and thin. These are 5mm width by 1mm, so they're the thinnest you can get at 5mm. And you actually, if you want to magnetize, if you would like to magnetize something of this size, then you're going to need 2 of those. I tried one. The arm will literally wobble and fall off when you're moving it around the board. You can see here I've put on 2 magnets there so that it fits on there. Smaller pieces you can use 1. So what are the other variants that I've done for my venerable Chapter Master Morgan? Well, he's got the twin link cannon there, which is his first variant. But if you want to use him as a Contemptor, you're going to need a twin linked auto cannon, which I've also given him there. And yes, I can see that it is, or you can see, should I say, it is 4 auto cannons linked together. And that's also if I want to have a Contemptor that has 2 twin-linked auto cannons, which I have played actually. And also, I'm sorry, but it really looks way cooler, auto cannons done in 4s like that. So like I say, that again is 4 Imperial Guard auto cannons, just all stuck together like that. It'll take some jiggling to get them to sit like that. So then you can run him like that. You can run him as a Contemptor with twin-linked assault auto cannon, twin-linked las cannon. So that's those particular variants on the arms. Also, you may remember on the easy to build, you don't get the auto cannon, or should I? Yeah, on the left-hand side, you will actually only get a flamer. So I've actually kept the original flamer, and it can stay on there like that. See that? So it can actually just stay underslung like that. So you're starting to see now that you can play around with him and give him whatever arm sets that you want. And that's the beauty of magnetization. I was never sold on it until I did this. You do have to be a bit delicate with his arms on the table. You can't slam him around. So what's up top? Should we have a look what he's got on his head? I'm just going to bring him down a little bit closer here so that you can see. Points in the chat for who can guess what the basis of this banner is. We'll start with the banner and we'll do the rocket launcher, the Contemptor rocket launcher variants there in a second. This banner, yes indeed, it is the banner from the Indomitus Ancient, as you can see here. This is the Indomitus Ancient, there you go, so you can focus on it, and you can see he's got a skull crossed across there. I'm actually going to take it off for this. Let's take it off so you can see what I've done on this individually. Again, this is magnetized, as you can see. So you can sit it on there. Maybe you don't want to have a big banner on there one day. Maybe you don't think it looks good, or you want to put something else on there. So let's go through the pieces of the banner here. Let me just hold that up there nice and easy for you. So like I say, you've got the Indomitus Ancient gold banner with the skeleton, but I've also used one of the spare Blade Guard helmets from Indomitus. You actually get a few spare, and I've used that as the head. Chopped the skull off and put the head in there. These are actually some spare arms from the Assault Intercessors in Indomitus. You get loads of spare arms actually, which is really nice. And these are flails from left over on a sprue from the Sisters of Battle box set. But again, all of these little bits and bobs here, as per my previous Kit Bash videos, they should all be able to be bought. I'm going to leave the descriptions that you should search for below. You might also notice, or not, some of the keen-eyed of you, I've actually just put his hand, I believe this is from the Ancient as well, because he has the banner, holds the banner, and also holds the hand below. What do I mean by that? As you can see here, he holds a little hand there, and I just thought it looked a lot cooler. And I got the Ancient on the sprue, which I think was only, it wasn't very much. So in terms of lore on this model, I called him Chapter Master Morgan earlier. Deceased, entombed, whatever one you call it. He fell in glorious battle and was shipped off to the Mechanicus, and they made him the most glorious Redemptor Dreadnought pattern that they could muster from their forges. And he specifically said, "My bones, put my bones aloft my Dreadnought and my tomb. I want the world to see me exposed, the fragility, but within the strength of this Dreadnought. I want you to also see me atop. So you will always see my body and I will lead." So the idea is that his troops are inspired by the fact that his bones, because he's just a brain in a jar at this point. So his body, which was fractured beyond repair, has been tied together like this aloft with his helmet that he fell in, and all gilded in gold. So that's the short version of what Chapter Master Morgan wanted done with his body. So I just love the idea. It's so grimdark of having your own body on top of your Dreadnought, because a lot of the time you don't see it. You just have them in here. They're just another brain in a jar, right? But for Chapter Master Morgan, he had to have the most bling Dreadnought that the Mechanicus could muster. So what else is going on here? These rocket pods here, you can use them as kind of a proxy for the Redemptor. I've actually made another separate one, but this was actually for the Contemptor. The beautiful thing about a Relic Contemptor is that it can take these fantastic rocket pods on top. So when I do play it as a Contemptor, going into a little bit of Auspex tactics speak here, I would run it as a twin-link las cannon on this side, and a twin-link autocannon on the right side, well, his right, our left, and then I would spend the extra points for the rockets on top as well. So yeah, and I've played him as a backline, so he just sits back firing all these. He's absolutely fantastic. And these guys here are actually, I don't know if you can see, but they're actually made. I love the fact everything's magnetized. It makes this so easy. They're actually made from two Chaos Rhino missile launchers. I know, right? Heresy. The Mechanicus must have had these left over. They weren't binned once the Horus Heresy had subsided. And they are just, and you know, it's a Contemptor pattern, so you know, it's going to be quite old. It's going to be 30k. This is the mount for it, and then it's just, I had two just on a sprue from in my sprue box, but you can probably buy these again on eBay. You can get hold of two rocket pods there. Now, I did think about getting the rockets and other bits and bobs from Forge World, but that's just too easy. If you can't be bothered to make these little bits and bobs, you can buy the assault the auto cannons and the rocket launcher from Forge World if you want. Can also do that. So that is the guns. That's the outside of the model. Now, what we'll do now, before we dive in, before I forget actually, you'll see that he actually stands a bit taller than a standard Redemptor. Okay, even taking into consideration, right, the Redemptor, you can see he almost stands another centimetre or two higher. So what I did was, to get him to stand a little bit higher, let me just take that off, because I know all of his bits and bobs are going to fall off. If you just unscrew him there. Now, you might be able to see here, that is a fist from the original Venerable Dreadnought, first edition, that just came in the Venerable Dreadnought kit. It's actually just a fist, but it actually just fits perfectly if you stick it there where the hole is, and it actually makes him sit at least another centimetre higher, because there you go. So he actually sits a bit higher, if you can see that. Yeah. So he looks even more intimidating on the battlefield. Okay. He's a bit shorter now. We can bring him in. So let's get down to the good stuff. Like I say, this isn't easy to build Redemptor Dreadnought. What you'll need is, as I mentioned a moment ago, a Venerable Dreadnought kit, which comes with these panels. So you can see I've stuck these really cool gold panels on the front. Let me just hold those in, because the original Redemptor doesn't have anything like that. So you can see there it's just plain. This guy isn't fully painted, he's still a work in progress. I'm still haven't blinged him up yet. But as you can see, I've actually just, and they fit perfectly. I didn't need to do any trimming there. Not perfectly, but close enough. I'm happy with that. And I've just stuck those panels on the front to give him that extra bling gold Venerable Dreadnought effect. Now here's the good stuff. So here we go. And the cool thing is, I've played him before, and when he was down to I think 3 wounds, I actually took the front off and just played him like this, naked to the world. And as you can see here, what I've done is, and it's good that I've got the other Redemptor to show you the comparison, I've actually half cut the sarcophagus. God, it takes me a while to get that word right, sarcophagus. I've half cut it off the front, up to the second little scroll piece there, just underneath where this skull is and these laurel leaves. I actually shaved that off. So what you do is you just cut in just above this second piece here, cut in here, shave up to the top, and then just across, and then back down the other side. So you can see here. And then these pieces in here, again, another spare, really cool Blade Guard helmet from Indomitus. That's just been stuck, literally, you've put some glue on it, and then you stick that to the top of this piece. What is this piece? This is actually a Venerable Dreadnought sarcophagus front area with the exposed helmet. Make sure you get the right one, because there's 3 variants. There's this one, which I love, but I didn't want to use the same one in the Redemptor. I wanted there to be some variation, which has these kind of little poles in it. And then you've got this other one, as you can see. You know which one it is because it's got a point. It's got the open sarcophagus with 3 little vents. That's the one you want to go for when you buy your kit on eBay. Also, just putting some extra pipes here to cover up that gap. So there's only 3 pieces in here. There's the helmet, which is stuck to the top of the... you can actually stick that onto this before you put it in, to this sarcophagus, and then you just stick that in there. And then you can also use some green stuff, if you've got it, or even just some blue tack and some glue just to fill in this little gap here, if there are any air holes in there. I wanted it to look a bit rough. I wanted it to look, once you took it off, for it to be a bit horrific, that you actually see that it's just a brain in a jar. So that is how we did the inside. And you can see here there's some panels. These also came in the Venerable Dreadnought kit. There's 2 sets of panels, one for the front and then these plain ones for the inside. As nobody's going to see it, I thought I'd put those in there. The reason I put those there, again, if you look at the original easy to build Redemptor Dread, there's these gaps here. And I wanted, like I said, I wanted to play it with the front off because it's beautiful. The sad thing is about the Redemptor Dreads, I don't really see many people playing it without the front on. It's like you've got all this beautiful detail inside, but nobody really plays it like that. And I wanted to create, I know that the full kit, this bit actually comes off, the front bit kind of folds open. But yeah, I mean, I prefer it, to play it like this, where you can actually, see the model. So let me put him back together. And that is pretty much it. So that's all of the pieces that I have used for my entombed Chapter Master Morgan. And I hope you found this useful. If you want to see how he stacks up in terms of scale, I showed you him versus Baby. This is how he stacks up against Redemptor, and he's actually even taller with that little extension than the Nemesis Grey Knights, Nemesis Dread Knight. And I did put in my last Kit Bash video that what I used to make this. Now, I'm not particularly fancy, so I actually just use a cheapo knife. It comes with lots of different heads on it. If you do lots of chopping with this, I'll put a description down below. It's only a $5. Sure, you can get better. If you do lots of chopping, you'll shred heads. In other words, it does come with a whole bunch of other heads, but I found this to be really good. You'll need a very, very sharp knife. You can't just use Games Workshop clippers or anything like that. And then just Games Workshop glue and maybe a little bit of green stuff. But as always, thank you for joining me today. Please do comment, like, it really helps. I like to know your feedback. What do you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section. I think it's really cool. You guys are really generous with my videos, telling me what you think, what you like, what you don't like, constructive criticism. And yeah, please give me a follow if you found this interesting. I've made it my goal. Those of you who watch my New Year army review video, my own army review from last year, I will try to do as many Kit Bash videos as I can this year for you. All right, and if you haven't already seen it, check out my Heavy Intercessor Kit Bash video. People seem to have found that very useful, which is good, even though they've kind of been released in the new Kill Team box, which is £95. But anyway, love you all. Praise the Emperor, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.